Good morning and welcome to Peace Out, where we are all learning together to peace out. We're getting all fired up about just trusting God each and every day, right? That's really where peace comes from, just knowing that He is God and He's in our boat with us, which is sort of what we're going to talk about today, but not quite. So actually my thought is not totally original, because I heard somebody pose this question yesterday. So I started searching and studying, and I was like, okay, I got to figure this one out. I didn't really figure it out, but I did have a really good study this morning, right? So in Mark 6, it's also in John 6, but in Mark 6, we have the story of how Jesus fed the 5,000 with the loaves of bread and 2 fish, 5 loaves and 2 fish, 5 barley loaves. Throw that in there. Barley's good for you, by the way. 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. And he fed 5,000 men, it says, which means there was very easily double that, give or take, because if they brought their wives or children or what, well, there was a boy there. We know there was a boy there, and he wasn't a man, so they didn't. There's only 5,001, at least 5,001, right? So, but he fed them with the little boy's lunch, and after he used the 5 loaves and 2 fish. Now, and those weren't huge loaves because they were a little boy's lunch. Why did he have 5 loaves? Why did his mom send 5? I'm assuming, I see mini loaves in my brain, right? 2 fish, that's just nasty too. But anyway, no butter, no jelly, no peanut butter. I don't know. Anyway, so he had 5 loaves and 2 fish. Jesus used them to feed over 5,000 people. But it says in verse 43, and they took up 12 baskets full of fragments and of the fish. So, no, that's kind of gross. That grosses me out. I don't even like to eat with people much anymore. But I definitely don't want to go pick up the bread that has been left behind. I don't like my stuff being... I don't take leftovers from a restaurant either, because it's already been messed with. So leave it there, right? But anyway, but they took up 12 basketfuls of bread and fish that were left over, which what they had left over after the miracle was more than they even started with before, right? And the question somebody posed yesterday was, where did those 12 basketfuls of bread and fish go? Now they picked them up because they weren't going to waste. They were a very, they didn't waste anything. They didn't throw things away like we do. They were not a wasteful, as far as their culture goes, as far as the way they operated right back then, right? So they picked up 12 basketfuls. Now, somebody pointed out years ago that was one for each disciple. There was 12 disciples. I don't know. But my question is, did they take it, and this was the question that was posed yesterday, did they take the bread in the boat with them when they left? Now, it's highly likely that they gave it to the poor, took it back to town. I don't know. It was too far to go back to town. So I don't know what they did with it, right? There's lots of different things they could have done with those 12 baskets. But it makes sense that possibly they put those 12 baskets in the boat, because right after this, it says immediately, as soon as it says they picked up 12 basketful of the leftovers, and everyone who had eaten his 5,000. And then in verse 45, it says, immediately Jesus made his disciples get in the boat and go before him to the other side, while he sent the multitude away. And when he sent them away, he went away to pray. And the evening came, the boat was in the middle of the sea. He was alone on the land. And then he saw them straining and rowing. He saw how hard they were working to get to the other side, to complete what he had told them to do. And the wind was against them. Now, about the 4th watch of the night, he came to them walking on the sea, and would have passed them by. That's going at a pretty fast rate, right? They're fighting the wind, and he's just walking by. Right? Hey, I coming to the other side. He's just walking by them. It's an amazing image in my head here, right? Okay, he could have just passed them by. And then it says, when they saw him walking on the sea, they supposed it was a ghost and cried out, for they all saw him and were troubled. But immediately talked with them and said, don't worry, peace out, it's just me, don't be afraid. And he went to the boat with them, and the wind ceased. And they were greatly amazed in themselves. I love this. This is the New King James Version. They were amazed in themselves beyond measure and marveled. In other words, Mark's saying, I have not got a word for the amazement that we had in that moment. I don't have a good word for it. They were amazed in themselves beyond measure and marveled, for they had not understood about the loaves because their heart was hardened. And I'm like, so now all of a sudden you understand the loaves, now that you're going back and writing it, now that you're going back and putting the pieces together. But I'm like, were the 12 baskets of fragments left from the last miracle sitting in the boat with them as they're struggling to go across? Right? They were doing what Jesus told them to do. Jesus said, go across. They hit the storm. They are struggling to row against the wind and to try to get the boat to the other side. They were right where God sent them. Just like Moses comes to the Red Sea. It was not a sign that he had disobeyed. It was not a sign that he had missed it. The disciples are having a very difficult time trying to get across. And that's what Jesus told them to do. Right? So it wasn't that they disobeyed God. It wasn't that they got off somewhere, but they didn't understand the loaves. And I'm like, what does that have to do with rowing the boat across in the middle of a storm? Unless the loaves were with them, unless the remnant from the miracle they just witnessed was in the boat with them, could they have not said, we serve this miracle working God? But let me give them a break. I'm not casting I'm not judging. I am not judging them. Right? Because how many times have we come through something and we know God brought us through something, and the next thing comes and we go, I don't even know what I'm going to do. You don't have to know what to do. Look at the last thing God brought you through. Remind yourself of who he is, who he has been, and who he is going to continue to be. Because then you can sit in that boat and go, I'm not even going to row. We're just going to sit here and let this storm blow through. We're just going to trust God in this storm, right? But I just thought it was so interesting. It says they didn't understand about the loaves. They didn't quite get it. And I honestly don't have a good answer for my brain yet as to why Mark told it this way. Why did he say he gives the miracle of the feeding of the 5,000, 12 basketfuls left over? They probably put that in the boat. They get in the boat, they start to the other side, and they're having trouble. And do they not trust him yet? Right? They're doing what Jesus said. Have you ever done what you felt like God wanted you to do and it seemed like it was too much work, or it seemed like it was harder than it was supposed to be, or it seemed like it just wasn't going as smoothly as possible? But as soon as Jesus steps in the boat, the wind ceased. He didn't even command it to stop. When he stepped in the boat, it stopped. And they were so amazed because they didn't quite get what he had just done. Or they needed to connect the dot with their minds. And it's easy for us to sit here and go, well, why didn't they get it? Because we weren't walking it with them, right? Don't we do the same thing so many times? We know he brought us out of this. We know he's brought us to this point, but this point is hard. This has a different hard. That's two different hards, right? That's two different, very difficult circumstances, two totally different things, and they could not connect the two in their brain. And Jesus is going to go on in John. He goes on to talk about, I'm the bread of life. I am the living bread that's come down from heaven, right? And he's trying to help them connect those dots. But they saw Jesus feed 5,000 people with two fish and 5 loaves of bread, and they had the 12 basketful of pieces left over, enough for them to go another day or 2 or 3, right? And they probably put that in the boat, but they couldn't connect that miracle to this circumstance. Why? Because it was the same Jesus. It's the same. They saw him bless the bread, give it to them, and as they broke it off to give a piece to somebody, it grew back, kind of. They're just like, well, this is not going away. I'm going to walk out here with this one little loaf, and I'm going to go to the 6 people I can reach with it. And then I realized I've already passed 10. I've already passed 20. I've already passed 25. I've passed 100 people, and I'm still using the same loaf Jesus blessed and gave me. And then they pick up what's left of that miracle, supposedly put it in the boat with them, and forgot it. when they hit the sea, when they hit the next rough spot, they were like, we don't even know what we're going to do. We're just going to die. Right? We don't know what to do. And so what if they had looked at the bread in the boat and gone, you know what? There's something about Jesus I'm not quite getting. It's more than just his powerful teaching. It's even more than his ability to heal. It's more than his ability to multiply bread and fish and feed 5,000 people when it was to do the impossible. It's more than him being able to do the impossible. It's that he's going to be in life's boat with me, with the remnant, with the leftover food from the last miracle. He didn't say, oh, you're out of miracles. Oh, that's too bad. No, he just walks out to them, and Mark says they just didn't get it. So maybe when Mark went back and was writing this, he was going, I get it. Miracle to miracle to miracle. Jesus was interacting with them, and they missed it because they were in it. I don't want to miss the presence of God in my life. I don't want to miss what he's doing in my life. I don't want to miss him being in my boat or being, I don't want to leave the miracle on the shore and get in the boat of life and try to go to the other side without him. Right? Now, he told them to, and they weren't disobedient. They did what he said, but they still find themselves in difficult circumstances. And yet here he walked out to them. It's as he would have walked right past them, but he walked out to them, got in their boat, and that's when the peace came. Because they didn't know. Maybe they didn't know. Actually, I think, this is my personal opinion alert, I think they could have commanded the winds to stop. I think they could have prayed and said, God, can you make this stop? Help us get to the other side, right? Because the other interesting thing was, I think in John 6, it says when he got in the boat, they were immediately to the other side. Just immediately. They were already through. They were done. I want to know him more than just the loaves and fishes. That's an awesome story though. Hey, and when he provides those needs, it's like, wow. I want to live in that moment, knowing that he is my provider, knowing that he is the one that blesses the bread and fish so that it feeds more than I could even imagine in my mental capacity. And not only that, there's stuff left over. That's the kind of blessing I want to know. But I also want to know that when I get in the boat and he says, go to the other side, I don't have to worry about it. I want to get to that place where I trust him and go, hey, Jesus said we're going to the other side. So we're going to the other side. And then he comes and gets in the boat, and it says the storm stopped when he got in the boat, and they couldn't understand all of this. Their brains were blown in that moment because they'd seen so much in a very short time, seen them feed 5,000, pick up 12 baskets, maybe put them in the boat, go into the sea. He gets into the boat, the storm stops, and they're like, they didn't quite get it. They didn't quite get it. I want to get it. I want to trust him when the wind is blowing and when the wind isn't blowing. I want to trust him when the basket's full and when the basket's empty. And I want to when the basket's empty, I want to remind myself, he filled it before, he can fill it again. And when the storm starts raging, the storm of life starts raging, I want to say, he's brought peace before, he's still leaving peace here. Peace is continuous. It's about me figuring out how to be in it all the time, how to invite him into the boat of life and say, Jesus, just ride this boat out with me. Just ride it out with me because I need you more than I need anything else. That's when we learn how to peace out, when we just trust him with it all. Peace out, you guys. Have a great day. I'll see you again tomorrow.